English literature, poets in the chronological order for NET, SET and other competitive level exams. Famous poets: John Milton. Birth December 9, 1608. Major works: Paradise Lost, 1667. Paradise Regained, 1671. Samson Agonists, 1671. On the morning of Christine's nativity. On Shakespeare. To the Nightingale. A sonnet on his blindness. Lycidas. Comus Arcades. The Tenure of Kings and Magistrates. Aeropagitica, 1644 are his famous works. Books on Milton: Richard Bradford's John Milton. Barbara K. Liwalski's The Life of John Milton, a critical biography. John Donne. Birth 22nd January 1572. Major works: Pseudo Martyr. Prose treatise. Ignatius, his conclave. An Anatomy of the World. The Progress of the Soul. Devotions upon emergent occasions. Baya Thanatos. Books on Donne. Isaac Walton's Lives of John Donne. John Stubbs' John Donne. The Reformed Soul. Harold Bloom's John Donne. A.J. Smith's John Donne, The Critical Heritage. Rani Tarkov's John Donne, Body and Soul. Arthur F. Marothi's John Donne, Coterie. Alexander Pope. Birth 21st May 1688. Major works: Pastorals, Essay on Criticism. The Rape of the Lock, 1712. Translation of Homer, The Dunciad. An Essay on Man. Books on Pope. Maynard Max, Alexander Pope Alive. Peter Kinnell's Alexander Pope, The Education of Genius. John Paul Rousseau's Alexander Pope, Tradition and Identity. Birth 26 December 1716. Major works: Ode to the Spring, Ode to West, The Sonnet on the Death of Richard West, On a Distant Prospect of Eton College, Hymn of Adversity, Hymn of Ignorance, Ode to a Favorite Cat, Elegy Written in a Country Churchyard, The Progress of Poesy, The Bard, Ode for Music. Books on Gray. Dr. Johnson's Life of Thomas Gray. Robert L. Marks' Thomas Gray Alive. John Mitford's The Political Works of Gray with a Life. William Powell Jones' Thomas Gray Scholar, The True Tragedy of an 18th Century Gentleman. William Wordsworth. Birth April 7, 1770. Major works: The River Jude Sonnets, The Ecclesiastical Sonnet, The Prelude to Milton upon the Westminster Abbey, The Rainbow, The World is Too Much Us, The Daffodils, Peel Castle, Descriptive Sketches, 3 Years She Grew, Resolution and Independence, Peter Bell, To a Skylark, The Solitary Reaper, Immortality Ode, Ode to Duty, Michael, Tintern Abbey, Preface to Lyrical Ballad. Books on Wordsworth. Herbert Reed's Wordsworth. Lascelles Abercrombie's The Art of Wordsworth. P.B. Shelley, Percy Bysshe Shelley. Birth August 4th, 1792. Major works Queen Mab, Alastor, 1816. The Revolt of Islam Hellas, Julian and Madalo. The Cenci, a Tragedy. The Witch of Atlas, Prometheus Unbound. A Defense of Poetry, Epipsychidion, Adonis, 1821. The Cloud, To a Skylar, Ode to the West Wind, Hymn to Intellectual Beauty. Stanzas written in dejection near Naples, Indian Serenade, Ozymandias. Books on Shelley. Thomas Love Peacock's Memoir of Shelley. Herbert Reed's In Defense of Shelley and Other Essay. Andrew Morris, Ariel or The Life of Shelley. John Keats. Major works Endymion, Lamia, Isabella, The Eve of St. Agnes and Other Poems. Hyperion. On first looking into Chapman's Homer, to melancholy, to autumn, to indolence, on a Grecian urn, to a nightingale, bright star, books on Keats. J. M. Matthews, John Keats, The Critical Heritage. Alfred Tennyson, birth August 6, 1809. Major works The Princess, 1847, Memoriam, 1850, Maud and the Poem, Enoch Arden, Tiresias and Other Poems, The Idyll of the King, Ulysses, The Lotus Eaters, Akbar's Dream, Hierophantism, The Lady of Shalott, The Falcon, The Cup, Queen Mary, Harold, Beckett. Books on Tennyson. Lawrence W. Mason's Alfred Tennyson, The Critical Legacy. John D. Jones, Lord Alfred Tennyson, The Critical Heritage. Robert Browning, birth May 7, 1812. Major works Pauline, Paracelsus, Sordello, Dramatic Lyrics, Dramatic Romances and Lyrics, Man and Woman, Dramatis Personae, The Ring and the Book, Asolando or The Swan Song, Pippa Passes, a play, Ap Volger, A Grammarian's Funeral, Andrea del Sarto, One More, My Last Duchess, Rabbi Ben Ezra, The Lost Leader, Porphyry's Lover, Prospice, The Patriot, Evelyn Hope, The Last Ride Together, Caliban upon Setebos, Fra Lippo Lippi. Books on Browning. Harold Bloom's Robert Browning, William Sharp's Life of Robert Browning, Frank Ernest Halliday's Robert Browning, His Life and Work, Richard S. Kennedy's Robert Browning's Asolando, The Indian Summer of a Poet. Matthew Arnold, birth December 24, 1822. Major works The Strayed, Reveller and Other Poems, Empedocles at Etna and Other Poems, Shorrock and Rustum in 1853, Essay in Criticism, Culture and Anarchy, Dover Beach, Rugby Chapel, The Scholarly Gypsy, Tiresias, The Forsaken Merman, Shakespeare to Margaretine, Memorial Verse, A Bible Reading for School, Books on Arnold, T.S. Eliot's Arnold and Pater, E.K. Brown's Matthew Arnold, A Study in Conflicts, D.G. James, Matthew Arnold and the Decline of English Romanticism. William Butler Yeats, birth June 13, 1865. Major works: poetry, The Juvenile, The Crossways, The Rose, The Wind Among the Reeds, In the Seven Woods, The Green Hamlet and Other Poems. Responsibilities: The Wild Swan at Cooley, Michael Robartes and the Dancers, The Tower, A Full Moon in March, Last Poems, The Winding Stair and Other Poems. Word for music, perhaps. A woman young and old. No second Troy. The Lake Isle of Innisfree. The Second Coming. A Prayer for My Daughter. Easter 1916. 1919 Leda and the Swan. Sailing to Byzantium. Among School Children. Lapis Lazuli. Books on Yeats. Richard L. Mann's East, The Man and the Mask and the Identity of Yeats. G.S. Farser's W.B. Yeats. Louis MacNeice's The Poetry of W.B. Yeats. Donald A. Stouffer's The Golden Nightingale. Thomas Sterne Eliot, T.S. Eliot. Birth September 26, 1888. Major works: Through Folk and Other Observations, 1917. The Waste Land, 1922. The Hollow Men, Ash Wednesday. Coriolan Poem, 1931. Sweeney Agnostic, The Four Quartets. Geronito, Portrait of a Lady, Prelude. Rhapsody on a Windy Night. Sweeney Among the Nightingales, The Rock, A Pageant Play, Murder in the Cathedral, The Cocktail Party, The Confidential Clerk, The Elder Statesman, The Sacred Wood, Tradition and Individual Talent, The Function of Criticism, The English Metaphysical Poet, Hamlet and His Problems, The Frontier of Criticism, Charles Winbley, A Memoir, Ezra Pound, His Metric and Poetry. Books on Eliot. Helen Gardner, The Art of T.S. Eliot. Grover Cleveland's Smith's T.S. Eliot's Poetry and Plays, A Study in Source and Meaning. Elizabeth A. Drew's T.S. Eliot, The Design of His Poetry. Ted Hugg's A Dancer to God, tribute to T.S. Eliot. Winston Hugh Auden, birth February 21st, 1907. Major works: The Raid's Progress, A Fable. Delia or A Mask of Night. Elegy for Young Lovers. Nuns. The Shield of Achilles. Homage to Clio. The Dance of Death, verse play. The Ascent of F6, play with Isherwood. On the Frontier, melodrama. The Orator, dedicated to Stephen Spender. The Orator and English Study. Another Time, dedicated to Chester Kallman. City Without Walls and Other Poems. Forwards and Afterwards. Thank You, Fog. Last Poems. Spain, Petition, September 1st, 1939. Muses des Beaux Arts, The Unknown Citizen, In Memory of W.B. Yeats, Miss Gillig's, Mundas et Infants, Funeral Blues. Books on Auden. Barbara Everett's Auden, D. Davison's W.H. Auden, John G. Blair's The Poetic Art of W.H. Auden, Narsingh Srivastava's W. H. Auden, A Poet of Ideas. Richard Hogarth's W. H. Auden. Humphrey Carpenter's W. H. Auden, A Biography. Tony Sharp's W. H. Auden in Context. Gerald B. Nelson, A Change of Heart, a study of the poetry of W. H. Auden. Ted Hughes, Edward James Hughes, birth October 17, 1930. Major works: The Hawk in the Rain, Lupercal, Vaudeville, Crow, 1970. Godit, Cave Birds, Remains of Elmet, Moortown, The River, Poetry in the Making Witches, Cleopatra, To the Asp, Fern, Root, Stern, Leaf, Theology, Outcrow Alights, Crow's First Lesson, Apple Dumps, The Song Pike, Snowdrop, October Dawn, Wind, The Horses, The Jagger, The Thought, Fox, November, Hawk Roosting, Six Young Men, The Holy of Wolves, Songs of Iraq. Books on Ted Hughes: Kate Sagas, The Art of Ted Hughes, Alan Bowles, Tom Gunn and Ted Hughes, Terry Jeffer and Neil Roberts, The Ted Hughes, A Critical Study, Egbert Foss, Ted Hughes, The Unaccommodated Universe, Thomas West, Ted Hughes, BBC documentary Ted Hughes, Stronger Than Death. Philip Larkin, birth October 9, 1922, poetry. The North Sheep, The Less Deceived, 1955. The Whitsun Weddings, High Windows, Next, Please, Deceptions, Mr. Bellamy, Church Going, Days, Wants, No Road, Afternoons, Water, Dockery and Son, Poetry of Departure, Fate Healing, Home is So Bad, Reason for Attendance, Wedding Wind, High Windows, Going, Lines on a Young Lady's Photograph Album, Ambulances. Novel, Jill, A Girl in Winter. Walt Whitman, birth May 31st, 1819. Major works: Leaves of Grass, 1855, Passage to India, Oneself, I Sing, Song of Myself, I Hear It Was Charged Against Me, Crossing Brookline Ferry, On the Beach at Night, Oh Captain, My Captain, When Lilacs Last in the Dooryard Bloomed, Animals, The Modern Man I Sing. Books on Whitman: Richard M. Burke's Walt Whitman, 1833, first biography, Harold Bloom's Walt Whitman. Emily Elizabeth Dickinson, major works: Success is Counted Sweetest, Hope is a Thing with Feathers, Because I Could Not Stop for Death, To Fight Aloud is Very Brave, The Brain is Wider Than the Sky. Robert Lee Frost, birth March 26, 1874. Major works: A Boy's Will, 1913, North of Boston, 1914, Mountain Interval, 1916, New Hampshire, 1923, West Running Brook, 1928, A Further Range, 1936, A Witness Tree, 1942, Moving, Mending Wall, The Death of the Hired Man, After Apple Picking, The Road Not Taken, Witches, Fire and Ice, Stopping by Woods on a Snowy Evening, Two Tramps in Mud Time, The Gift Outright. Rabindranath Tagore, birth May 7, 1861. Major works: Sonar Tari, Chitra, Jeevan Devata, Kalpana Naivedya. Samaran, Elegy on the Death of His Wife. Geetanjali, 1910, The Child, written first in English and then translated into Bengali. The Crescent Moon, The Gardener, Fruit Gathering, Lover's Gift, Crossing, The Fugitive and Other Poems, The Post Office, Stray Words, The Cycle of Spring, Sacrifice and Other Plays. Books on Tagore. Edward Thompson's Rabindranath Tagore, His Life and Works. Radhakrishnan's Philosophy of Rabindranath Tagore. Ernest Rice, Rabindranath Tagore. Srinivasa Iyengar's Rabindranath Tagore. S.C. Sengupta's The Great Sentinel. Nissim Ezekiel. Birth December 16, 1924. Major works: The Time to Change, 1952. 60 Poems, 1953. The Third, 1959. The Unfinished Man, 1960. The Exact Name, 1965. Hymn in Darkness, 1976. Latter-day Salams, 1992. Nalini, a comedy, marriage poem. The Sleepwalkers, a tragicomedy, a patriot, marriage. Background Casually. The Goodbye Party to Miss Pushpa. T.S. The Night of the Scorpion. Poet. Love. Bird Watcher. The Railway Clerk. Philosophy. Kamala Das. Madhavi Kuti. Surya after her conversion to Islam on December 16, 1999. Major works: Summer in Calcutta, 1965. The Descendants, 1967. The Old Playhouse, 1973. My Story, 1976. Autobiography. Collected Poems. Only the Soul Knows How to Sing. A Hot Noon in Malabar. And Introduction, Jai Surya. The Testing of the Sirens. Composition. The Looking Glass. The Dance of Units. The Freaks. Glass. The Prisoner. The Conflagration. Substitute. The Alphabet of Lust. Attipet Krishnaswamy Ramanujan. Birth March 16, 1929. Major works: The Strider, 1966. Relations poem, 1971. Selected poems, 1976. Second Sight, 1986. Collected poems of A.K. Ramanujam, 1995. A river looking for a cousin on a swing. The Strides. The Snakes. Breeded Fish. The Hindu. The Heads. He reads his Gita and is calm at all events. History. Obituary. Small scale reflections on a great place. Of mothers, among other things. Conventions of despair. Still another view of grace. Love poem for a wife. 300 Ramayana. Thank you.